Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the largest gated community in North America, spanning 26,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains in south central Arkansas. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and some occasional guests as we explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live, kvre.com. HSV Inside Out is sponsored by Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there. Also brought to you by Trademark HSV Real Estate. Located in the heart of Hot Springs Village, they are the fastest growing real estate office with over 30 agents and staff. Broker-owner Lori and Ken Henderson, along with the realtor and waterfront specialist Rick Marshall, are eager to share the special features of Hot Springs Village with you. For a complimentary relocation packet, call Ken and Lori at 501-276-3018. Call Rick Marshall at 501-601-RICK. They are Trademark HSV Real Estate. It's highly likely that if you are looking at Hot Springs Village as your next destination or your retirement destination, that you are coming from a bigger place, a bigger city, a bigger town. There are about 16,000 residents currently living inside Hot Springs Village. Just miles down the road, Hot Springs, the nearest town that has a Sam's and a Lowe's and a lot of restaurants, and it's probably the primary shopping destination for people if they leave the village to go do any shopping. It's probably, I'm guessing, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people. But that's not even really that big of a town. Most of the people that I encounter who are currently residents inside the village have come from much bigger places. And there's nothing abnormal about that, I don't think. I think as we get older in life, this pace, this peace, this quiet, this tranquility, this nature, I'm looking out my back windows here, is just something that we crave as we get older. But there's another aspect of this that I want to talk with you about today, and that is the value of community. And I don't mean just the value of knowing who your neighbor is, and I don't mean just the value of knowing that you're part of some maybe closer knit, tighter community, which those have their place and they're highly valuable. But I'm thinking of it more in the terms of a sense of purpose and impact and doing the things that we want to do as we get older in life. Ideal outcomes. I personally don't see any reason why we should pursue anything other than the ideal outcome. Granted, the ideal outcome doesn't always happen. And it could be argued maybe it doesn't even often happen, although I would argue more often than not it does. I regularly ask people, have most of your goals been achieved? And 100% of the people say yes. And then I'll follow it up and say, it kind of makes you wonder, are we dreaming big enough? Maybe we're not dreaming big enough. If we're achieving our goals, maybe we need to set higher goals. And then we're setting those goals, why not aim for the ideal? I've mentioned before in previous shows about how we get to this age, we get to this retirement age, this magical turning 65, which qualifies us for full retirement, well, at 66 and a half for me, full retirement age of Social Security. That's a milestone that most of us would like to hit. When we can maximize what we can get back from all those years that we've contributed into the system Social Security. For me, being born in the year I was, it was 66 and a half. Your mileage will vary. The other milestone is getting to the age of 65 when we qualify for Medicare. And so now we have health insurance, and we have health insurance options that maybe we didn't have before we were 65. Those are two real milestones that most of us plan for, do some calculating about, and we're trying to navigate this next chapter of our life. For me and Rhonda, it didn't mean retirement, meaning it didn't mean that we're going to stop working. Now, for many people, it does mean that, because that's what they want to do. It just isn't something that we're not wired for that. We're both able to work. We like to work. We're self-employed, so that's just our choice. But as you look at a retirement situation and you look at where you're going to land, I think one of the things that I would impress on you to consider, just to think about when it comes to Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, is that 16,000 kind of a number. And it's not just a number. There are names to all of those, and the ages vary. But by and large, this is an older crowd of people who live here. And there's some big pluses to this. There's big pluses to the size, and there's big pluses to the demographic. As you get older, there's things that maybe you want to do that you haven't done before. There may be new hobbies, there may be new passions, there may be new opportunities for volunteering. There even may be work opportunities that you would like to pursue that in a prior life, they just didn't feel possible. It just wasn't under consideration. I know people who have jobs right now that you would think, well, that's a fairly menial job, but they love it. They may have worn a suit to work every day of their life, but now in retirement, it's not about the money. It's about doing something that they enjoy, something that they like to do, something that gets them out of the house a few days a week or multiple days a week, and they're earning a little bit of money to supplement their income, and they love it. They love it. They report that, I'm not coming to work, and I'm not tasked with solving a bunch of problems. I don't have a bunch of responsibility. I can just kind of come and enjoy myself and enjoy interacting with other people. And there's a considerable amount of that goes on among retired people. There are also people that have embarked on brand new businesses. People that had worked for the man all of their life, and in these retirement years, they have some home-based or some kind of a hobby-based business. I'm thinking of people, everything from people that do gunsmithing to woodworking, to computer repair, to all kinds of things that many of these people that they just like to tinker with some stuff, and they're able to monetize that in some way, shape, or form. And it's not about the money. It's because the activity itself is something that lights them up. The value of the community, I'll just freely confess, I have been a lifelong lover of guitar. But I was working from the time I was a kid until I hit my 50s. I was working 60, 80 hours a week. I was grinding, I was climbing hard. I just didn't have time. Maybe more accurately, I didn't make time because it wasn't that important. I enjoyed listening to great guitar players way more than I had any drive to learn to become even a modest guitar player. But that was then, and this is now. And I put on a post on our Facebook group, and if you're not a member of the Facebook group, just go to hsvinsideout.com and click the Facebook icon, and it'll take you there. And if it doesn't, it'll navigate you to get there. But inside the Facebook group some months ago, I posted a thing inquiring, are there any music circles here? Any of you people get together and just have a picking and grinning session? And I got back a number of responses, and I plan on highlighting some of these groups. But that's just one example of what can go on in a community like Hot Springs Village. There can be some older folks who play everything from mandolin to the fiddle to the guitar to bass to drums to keyboards, and they just may get together and just play. And maybe at this stage of their life, they're playing more than they've ever played because now they have time. I bring up the guitar because I recently reached out to a young man that I found on YouTube who just kind of resonated with me. And I contacted him about teaching me virtually, online, through Zoom calls, to play the guitar and spend some time with me. And so we worked out a deal. And am I going to become an expert guitarist? I don't plan on it, but I plan on learning for the first time in my life because I have the time and I have the interest. The ideal outcome for me, because he and I talked about this when we got on our first Zoom call, the ideal outcome is I want to just be able to sit around and noodle on a guitar and just have some fun. Not planning to perform. I'm not trying to be some rock star. I'm not trying to live my youth back over. I mean, it's none of that. It's just, and I also want to learn a little bit about music theory because I'd like to expand my brain. I'd like to kick my learning into a new gear. My learning has never involved learning to play an instrument. I'd like to learn that. There are these kinds of things that happen to us as we get older that we can pursue. Now, I'm not making any judgments on people that may make what some people call these vanity choices. Guy turns 65, first thing he does is he goes and he blows a whole bunch of money. Okay, it's all relative. Blows a whole bunch of money on a Harley. Never had a Harley before, never had a motorcycle before, but all of a sudden, he's a Harley guy. Listen, it's your money. You can do what you want. But that activity also has a community component to it. Because you see them. Yeah, maybe not just Harley guys, but you see Gold Wing guys and you see other guys riding these three-wheel, these Can-Am things. And there's, here in Arkansas, let me tell you, motorcycle, these are some roads that are really great when the weather's beautiful. I can imagine, not being a cyclist myself or a motorcyclist myself, I can imagine the feeling of getting with a group of people and going out and riding. And you see it. You see people do it. We've got groups here inside the village, guys that they're into these cars of their youth, these muscle cars, these cars back when cars were cars, and they had chrome and had big V8 engines and they didn't get great gas mileage and they had wide tires. And there are groups that get together that have these classic cars. Now, I'm not saying that you can't get that kind of stuff in a big city, but there's just something different about being in a smaller community where you can surround yourself with some like-minded people who kind of share the passions that you share. And there's no judgment. There's none of that stuff that we grew up with in our youth, in junior high or high school, and the peer pressure. All of that stuff's kind of off the table. Right? I mean, who cares? Don't care where you live. Don't care how much money you got. Man, that's a cool car. Man, you can play that banjo really well. Man, those cabinets that you made or that piece of furniture that you made, that's awesome. Hey, that gun that you fixed for me and polished it up, that's awesome. That ammo that you made for me, that you packed for me, that's great. That's terrific. There's just something to that sense of community that I can just tell you at my age now, at 67, I haven't experienced that. Inside Hot Springs Village is the only time I've experienced that. Now, I'm not saying that that's unique just to Hot Springs Village, but I'm telling you that it's one of the many components of the village that you really ought to think about if you're thinking about making this your next destination. Because I know that as soon as I get even adequate at guitar, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to connect with some people. And you know what? They're going to be perfectly cool with the fact that, okay, right now he sucks, but he loves this instrument as much as we love it. Because I already know some people like that. Could I find them in a big city? Probably. The real question is, would I? And the answer to that is, I would not. I'm just speaking for me, and I'm just being honest. Where here, there's just something to, I've got time, I got passions, I got interest, and your interest may be golf. If your interest is golf, honey hush, come and visit the village. This is a golfing community. But don't think that it's just golf, and don't think that it's just lake living. There are a lot of groups, and there are a lot of activities, and these are not necessarily some formalized thing. I would dare say the majority of these things are very informal. It's a group of people that just got together. When Rhonda got here, she loves to sew. And somehow she stumbled onto a very informal group that meets over the Coronado Center periodically, maybe every month. And they've all got their little projects that they're sewing on, and they just get together and they bring they're making stuff with their hands. They bring their handwork there, and they just work on their stuff, but they're kind of in this circle doing it together. Much like musicians that like to play whatever they play, and they may come together periodically, and they just may do, it's a tribute to Hee Haw. They just have this picking and grinning session. They just spend some time playing music with other musicians. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on, and I would dare say as much of that as you want, you can find it here inside the village. So something to consider. I know it's got nothing to do with houses, it's got nothing to do with finances, it's got nothing to do with cost of living, but as we get to this stage of our life, we find ourselves quite often in a place where we have more time than we've had since we were teenagers. There's a reason that so many young people who pick up a guitar do it at a young age. I get we're in an internet world, but I had a bunch of buddies when I was 14 and 15 that picked up guitars. I was too busy working selling stereo equipment and listening to music, but they spent hours in their bedrooms playing and playing and playing. And you now go decades later, and you get to this retirement age, whether you retire or not, that's beside the point, but you get to this retirement age, and all of a sudden, those things that maybe you wish you'd have picked up when you were 15, now at 67, I got time. Why not? For me, I'm going to pursue playing the guitar. A lot of other things that I need to do, and it could be argued, well, okay, how profitable is that? Well, for me, it's going to be profitable. It's going to expand my mind. Hopefully, I'll learn a few things about music theory. And by the way, my guitar teacher, he lives in, I was going to tell you the name of the town, but I forgot. He lives in Central California. He's 19 years old. He's been playing the guitar for a decade. Yeah, I told him on the Zoom call, for me, this is all about a new dog teaching an old dog new tricks. Thanks for watching Hot Springs Village Inside Out. You'll find all our episodes at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com or on YouTube.